Good morning.
Morning.
It always takes a second for that video to go. Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the Wellness Wake Up Weekly.
I am so excited this week. Okay, I say that every week, but I am excited this week.
It's every week is exciting.
It is. When you find something that you love to do, it just makes it so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And with people you love.
Yes, I love you too. Okay, so anybody who doesn't know who we are Carrie, Marie, and Christine, which I don't know why I just realized that we're both C's.
Yeah.
Why that just popped into my head, I don't know. But anyway, I am Christine Lunceford. I am in North Central Arkansas. I am an Empower You coach, and I teach the food freedom method. And I'll have a notice moment about that because I had a notice moment last night. It was kind of cool. So anyway, I live here with my 4 Jack Russells, which I hope stay quiet. My sweet husband, who is amazing, and our neighbor is learning how amazing he is also. It's really kind of cool. And we're getting ready for spring, and we have a greenhouse. So my head's a little bit spinny about, holy cow, when do I have to start planting? Because I am not a master gardener. So if I have any master gardener friends, please reach out because I'm kind of clueless and fumbling. Anyway, Carrie Marie, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I am Carrie Marie Vaughn, and I am in upstate New York, and we are still in full-on winter here, not even getting close to spring. I thought we were. We had a little taste of some mild weather, which was nice, but now it's back to be cold and snowy again. We've had so much snow this winter and in long periods of very cold this winter. But I know that happens every handful of years. All of a sudden we get this. So I can't complain. I just kind of go with the flow, and thank goodness I can work in the home so that I don't have to be out in the yucky weather. But anyway, I am an Unstickify Your Life coach, and I have 3 cats, and we now also have 3 other cats, or 3 of our grandkitties and a grandpuppy living with us. We have 1 more grand kitty that lives away. We have 3 adult children. Our girls both live far away from us, and our son lives very close.
You
I thought he was close before. He lived like 4 minutes down the road. Now he literally lives with us. So yes. So anyway, we are excited. If you're just tuning in and you've never watched the Wellness Wake Up Weekly, we come to you live every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central to bring you wellness tips, advice, stuff that we find out, stuff that's working well for us, stuff that's working well for our clients, things that we're learning, all kinds of stuff, because we want to spread the love. It's like a ripple effect. If we're working on our own wellness and self-care and awareness and all this other stuff, then it is like a trickle effect when we can teach other people, but also we show up as a better version of ourselves for our families, for people who we work with and deal with on a regular basis. And so if we're able to spread a little of that information to you that is helpful for you to show up as your best self, then you're just going to show up better in your life, and you can spread the word as well. So anyway, say hello as you are hopping on and let us know where you are watching from. Let us know what the weather's like for you. Are you getting into springtime weather? Are you in full on winter mode? Or maybe you're somewhere where it's warm all year round. How lovely.
I know. I need I
So,
need a few more friends that live where it's, like, nice when it's yucky here that I can escape. Yeah.
I know. Well, our oldest daughter is in Southern California, so it's warm all the time there. And I'm like, oh, it'd be great. She doesn't have an extra bedroom, but it would be great to just go and stay with her for the winter. I'm like, I love the change of seasons, and snow is gorgeous, but when you've had a lot of it and when you've had really cold weather, I'm like, oh, enough is enough. I'm done with
Mhm.
it. Let's move on. Springtime. Come
Yes,
on.
we still have all 4 seasons here, but our winter, instead of being like, because I was in Northern Illinois,
Mm.
winter lasts 6 months, it feels like. So here, our
Yeah.
winter doesn't last that long. Now, it is supposed to be almost 80 this weekend, and I also know that it's the beginning of March.
Wow.
So, in like a lion, out like a lamb. In like a lamb, out like a lion. So, I can pretty much guarantee the end of March is going to be not nice. It
Mm.
just, and that's okay because I know after
Mhm.
that, It'll I think it was
It was literally a year ago today that you were getting all of those, like, ice storms in your area.
yeah.
Like this week anyway, a year ago this week, because you and I were together, and I remember you were nervous about driving in the crazy
Yes,
weather.
it was just kinda nuts. It was kinda nuts. Yeah, that's right, it was, 'cause
I
today
know,
is
can
my
you
Brave
believe
and
it?
Lee anniversary. I opened the email today and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that was a year ago." So, yes, that was a good case of
Happy anniversary, happy
it
anniversary.
was so nice to head to Dallas, um, when it was ice
Mhm.
storming here, and I am telling you, God parted the ways because my husband's like, "You're not gonna make it." I'm like, "Oh, yes, I am. Watch me. God's got
I am
this." And he
determined.
did. He cleared all of the roads. I only hit one spot that had a little bit of ice, and that was
Wow.
when I was getting ready to stop for the night at my sister-in-law's, so it was fine.
Wow.
It was beautiful. So today is gonna be
And
a little bit chaotic, I would say.
and different,
And
yeah, different than our regular episodes, because normally we have one topic that we're sticking with through the whole
yes,
thing, and we're giving you tips around that, but instead, we're doing something fun, but also might be a
a
little
little chaotic.
chaotic,
We
but
do not have an outline. We normally talk things through and have an outline, and today it is completely willy-nilly and free what I don't know, whatever the word is I want. So this
yes.
is I was gonna pull like multiple things that I had learned. Well, I picked up this book to look at it, and you can see all of the tabs. And I was like, you know what? This gets to be my focus. There's multiple things about this book, but I'm going to tell you my notice moment. I had two notice moments this week. One of them was I had a dear friend that sends me or calls me and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, kind of running around. And she's like, and I remembered she has a Bible study that she started Monday. Well,
Okay.
I'd forgotten. I forgot to put it on my calendar. So she calls me and
Oh, and you
and
were
I was
supposed
supposed
to
to
be
be
in the
well, I was
Bible
supposed to be
study.
on the call. And when she
Oh,
called me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, Anna, did I completely forget?" And she's like, "No, we go live in 7 minutes and my VA can't attend. Can you help me?" So I
so cool.
less than 7 minutes. Man, Anna and I are on it. I'm telling you. Anna, if you watch this, we are a great team also. Kind of like Carrie Murray and I, we just get it done. And I hopped on and was able to do that. But here was my notice moment. Since I was helping her, I wasn't listening as well as I could. So she sends me the recording so I can listen. I had it on faster speed.
Good morning,
And I
Lisa.
have been told that my bottom that I move my mouth a lot. Well, when you have it in double speed, you notice it so bad. So I started paying attention the last 48 hours and I noticed that I feel tremors on the inside of my gums on here. They're very subtle, but that
Weird.
I'm like trying to calm it by moving my mouth, but I'm also completely unaware that I'm doing it. So if you run
Wow.
into me and I'm doing that, I was like, "Ooh, notice moment." Okay, so here's the second notice moment that's kind of tied to that. So I noticed that. I noticed my tremors were a little bit worse, and I noticed I just felt off and I had just a low grade headache. Well, I tied
Yeah.
it to the bread that I bought. It's gluten free, should be fine. Autumn's here yesterday and she goes, "I wonder what's in it." Because I'd been eating a lot of it just because we were busy and, way more than I would normally eat.
Mhm. Yeah, and also you don't want it to go bad. Don't you hate getting something and it, like, goes
Oh,
bad quickly or
at
goes stale?
$8 a loaf, I usually put it in the freezer, like, and then because
Oh,
I
okay.
can actually tap it on the because of the it does not sticky like Wonder Bread. It's
Mm.
less because it's whole grain, so it doesn't stick. So typically, I can pull it apart, but this week I was eating it. It has sorghum in it. Remember a couple weeks
Mm.
ago when I said I ate the popped sorghum and found out I had a reaction
Mhm.
to it? The bread has sorghum in it. But because it's a lower amount, I wasn't having as severe of a reaction. So I didn't notice it
So it wasn't
until I
obvious.
overflowed the bucket.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
notice moment, not buying that bread anymore. So that was
Yeah, but it's so great that you are like you're so aware of those little things because there's so much stuff. I feel like for us too as women that we are almost used to dealing with different kinds of pain or discomfort in things, and so we kind of ignore different little
yes,
signs that that we probably should be aware of and try to tie it to something. It's like, okay, every time I feel like this, it's after I have been eating this or whatever. Like,
yes,
that eating doesn't necessarily mean it's the only thing that could be affecting that, but it could be other things as well.
absolutely. And
And
that's
it could
why I
be
built
higher
that.
stress.
Yeah, that's why I built that food freedom method because um people are unaware. Now for me, this is the like I'm not going to say the end result, but this is the result of being in this for over a decade.
Yeah, you've had
I've had
lots of
lots of
practice. You've
practice
been
and I don't
learning
have to
it.
write it all down to go, okay, my thumb hurts a little bit. Okay, why am I waking up with a headache here? What did I eat? What is it a full moon? Is the weather shifting? Like I can put all
Mhm.
those things.
Like, drink enough
But
water.
that's a big one for me, especially if I'm busy.
Mhm,
So those were
mhm.
my notice moments. Okay, I want to hear about what you've learned. We'll come back to the breath, but I want to hear some of this stuff because I want to hear it. Because as much as we talk, um, we haven't necessarily touched on that. So
Okay, well, there was, a few different things. One, I started reading a book and, I haven't finished it yet, so I don't wanna tell you that you absolutely should read this book because I don't wanna recommend it unless it's something that
feel
I'm very
complete.
particular about what I recommend to people, and both of us are. Like, literally, if we're gonna talk about a book or a
Mhm.
product or a podcast or a show or movie or whatever, if we're talking about anything, it means that we have used it, listened to it, watched it, and we fully recommend it. So I'm just giving you a heads up that this book I'm not fully recommending at this point. I will tell you what it's called, but I haven't gotten through all of it. So I don't know whether or not I really find the whole book helpful, but there was one statement in it that really stood out as being kind of like an eye opener type of thing, like a light bulb moment that I think a lot of us don't really think about because we just go through life. We're all
Absolutely.
just going through the busyness of life. So the book, I'll just let you know, is called Mind Magic by James R. Doty, MD. Okay, the statement is we can determine how we're living our life simply by changing our intentions. And as much as I have known how powerful intention setting is, that statement alone, I was just like, wow, yes. I'm gonna read it again just because I'm like, I feel like
Yeah.
everybody
Yes.
needs to hear
Okay.
it and let it sink in a little bit. We can determine how we are living our life simply by changing our intentions.
Wow.
It's easier said than done, of course, but with practice, you get better and better at it. Like we talk about practicing things all the time, right? Like practicing paying attention to our body and the signs that it's telling us. Like for instance, different types of like practicing an instrument, practicing yoga, practicing
Mhm.
anything. Like anything is a practice. We're not ever going to be perfect at anything. And if we want to get better at something, though, we need to practice it. So if we want to be living our life the way that we want to live it, we need to practice being intentional about what we're thinking about, what we're saying, what we're doing, how we're reacting to things. We have to be so intentional. And that statement literally says it all. And I was like, wow, okay, I have to bring this to our little thing that we're talking about what we learned through the month because even though like I have known about intention setting and I try to be intentional about a lot of things I do, just summing it up in one sentence like
Is
that was really
yes.
powerful.
Okay. Can I stack on that? So one
Yes,
of the
please
things
do.
that's in here is talking about intentional breathing. Not,
And we
all day
spoke about
long
that.
every day, but sitting
Mhm.
down and doing intentional breathing and different techniques for what you want the result to be. And so that ties perfectly.
Yes, I love that. And I had actually taken a course in different breathing techniques and different ones are used for different results that you want. And it's been a bit so I would have to check my notes on the types of things and I'm sure that your book talks about a lot of those different methods and it's so powerful. Like if you want to calm down, if you want to like lower your stress, if you want to have
Mhm,
more energy, like
mhm.
all of these things you can tweak based on your breathing, which is so
You can
cool.
change
So I
your blood pH according to this guy.
whoa. Now that's
Okay,
it.
so
That is a
okay,
for
this
sure.
is it says because he was talking about over breathing. He said almost everybody over breathes. I know. Doesn't that sound
Mm,
crazy? I'm like, first time I read that, I went, we can breathe too much.
yeah.
Yeah, you can breathe too much. And it's crazy.
Mm,
So he said, over breathing can have deeper effects on the body beyond just lung function and constricted airways.
wow.
Okay, so I'm telling you, this book was like mind blowing. But he said, when we breathe too much, we expel too much carbon dioxide and our blood pH rises to become more alkaline. When we breathe slower and hold in more carbon dioxide, pH lowers and blood becomes more acidic. Almost all cellular functions in the body take place at a blood pH of 7.4. So you could change
Interesting.
your I mean, I think that would be you would really have to practice. That would take more than just, once or twice.
Exactly. Yes. It sounds like it's something that you really have to practice a lot. But how cool is
I
that? Like
know.
just setting the intention of I'm going to change my blood pH based on how I'm
Okay,
breathing.
so I'm
That's
gonna
so
see if I
cool.
can find it in here. Okay, you tell us something else while I find what it is with the pH because
I just want to expand on the one thing that I talked about. We can determine how we're living our life simply by changing our intentions, and just kind of give a quick example of like how many times have we accidentally said like, "Ugh, this is such an awful day, or this is such a terrible day, or I'm having such a bad day." Well, you're setting the intention of having that bad day, so you're going to see how it's so bad. You're going to be getting
Mhm.
more and more reminders of how it is bad. So we can literally change our day by saying, I'm having an awesome day. Today is a great day. And you can literally, even if the same things are happening around you, if you have the intention of making it a great day, you're going to look at everything a little bit different. You're going to have your eyes open to all the blessings around you. You're going to take something that might be a little challenging that happens and is like, okay, let's learn something from
Mhm.
this instead of letting it get you down the whole day. So I just want to remind everybody like,
Yes,
please try, and it is a practice, but try to be intentional about how you're going about your day. So all right,
absolutely. Okay,
enough of
I'm gonna stack on that one also. So
that.
I
Okay.
can almost hear somebody out there going, "Pff, that doesn't work. So try this. I'm having a bad day right now, and it will end in 2 minutes, and it's going to get better. Because now
Yeah,
you
that's
are acknowledging that it's a bad day. You're acknowledging that it is, crap at the moment. And this too,
for a
a
moment.
moment.
It doesn't have to be the whole day. This
No,
moment is bad, but it doesn't have to
that's
stay.
right. This too shall end. And I'm going to move past this and go on. So, okay. One of the I got to pull my brain back because my brain just scattered completely off into Never Never Land because one of the things I'm doing is holistic health practice. And today was about emotions. The module today was about
Mm,
emotions. And it said, taking your emotions, taking the energy from your emotion and shifting it to a different emotion. So,
ooh,
for example, I'm sad because I'm having a bad day. He said you can pull your emotion or your energy off of being sad, shift it. Okay, and bear with me as I say this. Shift it to anger because anger causes movement. Sadness
mm,
doesn't. Now, it also says don't stay there. You use that as a catalyst to go to joy, as a bridge to go to joy, but you take it from sadness and immobility, pull it over into anger, be angry that this is happening at the moment, take that and shift it into action to go to joy. And
wow.
again, it's practice because
Yes.
that doesn't have to that can take moments. It takes a holy cow. Wow. Okay, notice moment. I can see that. I don't have to react that way. I can control the way I react, not suppress your emotions. Please don't do that, because otherwise Carrie Marie is going to be the one pulling your stuck points out. Um, so that's not what I'm saying. But yeah. And again, it's back to intention.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Setting that intention.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy? Carrie Marie.
Yeah. So enough about intention setting. Well, we could talk about that all day. It could be an entire
I know.
episode of just about intention setting and different examples.
Okay, so one of the things that this guy talks about with breathing is he said people who suffer from maladies like tingling in their fingers, chronic diarrhea, rapid heart rate, diabetes, erectile dysfunction are often treated for the symptoms, which we talk about all the time, with a
Oh, yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on individual organs. But he goes on to say that the problem isn't that. The problem, and again, we talk about this all the time,
Yep.
it's the
Yep.
problems along the vagal and autonomic network brought on by chronic stress. So, researchers say it's no coincidence that 8 out of 10 of the most common cancers affect organs that are cut off from normal blood flow, from extended states of stress. So, how do you fix your nervous system? Breathe. I mean, intentional breathing. And
intentional breathing, not just
not
regular
just regular
breathing.
breathing and not heavy breathing, because that was a big thing. Is he said, if you're a mouth breather, okay, so I did an experiment. I snore. And he said the mouth breathing aggravates that. And if you mouth breathe, your nasal passages will actually shrink and get inflamed. And so it's like this vicious cycle. So I actually have started taping my mouth shut. I can't put the full tape on because it's just too claustrophobic and oh my gosh, freaks me out. But I changed my resting heart rate and what was the other one? My oxygen level.
Because you're forcing yourself to breathe through your nose.
Only through my nose at night.
Wow.
And I have been intentionally, like here's our word again, paying attention during the day. He said athletes that breathe through their nose during like strenuous exercise actually have higher output than the ones who breathe through their mouth. And again, that's something you have to train into yourself. That's nuts.
Yeah. It is so crazy. Yeah, just tweaking one little thing and paying attention to that.
So the perfect breath, after this much reading in the book, like 2/3 of the book, the perfect breath is 5.5 seconds inhale and 5.5 seconds exhale.
Wow, and we definitely don't do that on a regular basis.
So,
and what we have talked about before is mostly like during the day while we're going about our thing, because thank goodness we don't have to think about breathing on every day, every second, because clearly our breathing that just happens naturally keeps us alive.
Yes.
But it's also very shallow. It's only using the top part of our lungs. It's not filling our lungs with new oxygen. And so doing the deep, intentional, longer breathing, especially through the nose, it's going to fill the lungs with new oxygen and get out the stale stuff.
Yeah. One of the ones that he talks about is breathing in through your nose. And you may have learned this in yours. And then you count out loud out as you're pushing all the air out. And when you start to feel like you're running out of air, you start to whisper. And then you go to not speaking it until all of the air is out of your lungs. And then
and you like try to like you even try to get it's the same thing with breathing in, like you try to sip in that last little bit, like as much, even though you thought that you filled your lungs entirely, most likely you can just like sip in that tiny bit more. And then the same thing when you're letting out, like even though you think that you've completely expelled everything, try to force out that tiny bit more. And there's always usually that little bit more in there, which is pretty cool.
I know. So the other thing that was fascinating about this was our diet. Okay, you would think it would be what we eat, but it's as much how we eat. So traditional modern diets have processed foods. Everything is very, very soft. And people have 10 times more cavities severely crooked teeth, obstructed airways, and overall poorer health from eating soft foods. Compared to our ancestors that were healthier, had great teeth, strong jaws, and less of this. It's because they chewed their food. So
Wow.
it says, he goes into like the vitamin deficiencies and all that. Yes, we're a big thing, but chewing. So the problem had less to do with what they were eating than how they were eating. So the people that were eating, raw vegetables and meat and anything that really needed to be chewed, this guy actually changed the dimensions on the inside of his mouth by changing the way he was breathing and chewing.
Wow. That's so
And that,
neat.
and I mean, he actually had all the tests done and the craziness done. I'm not going to do that, but I went, huh. So what did I do? I went back to chewing gum because I tell you what, I had stronger, better teeth when I was chewing gum than I do
Really?
now.
Maybe that's why my teeth have always been straight. I always chew gum. They tell me that you're not supposed to chew gum because it like fills your belly with air bubbles and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. I don't
I
get
know.
that. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm not like sucking in a bunch of air while I'm chewing gum. I don't chew like a cow, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah. I
I
actually
pretty
went
much
to a
keep my
dentist.
mouth closed.
I went to a dentist once and he's like, wow, you have really great teeth. When was the last time you were at a dentist? And I was like, do you really want to know the answer to that? It had been 8 years.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
I was
goodness.
like, so, and he's like, what? What do you do? And I said,
Mhm.
I chew, and it wasn't sugared gum, but
Right,
it
right.
was gum.
Mhm,
So, yeah,
mhm. That's
isn't
awesome.
that crazy? So, just
Yeah.
the whole thing on this, he talks about asthma, he talks about hypertension, he talks about all the like respiratory things and how they
Mhm.
have changed them. You're not cured. Like, so don't hear what I'm not saying, people that have like emphysema. But there was a whole test on people with emphysema, and they taught them how to breathe again through their nose. It
Wow.
didn't fix what was broke,
Mhm.
but for a lot of them, they were no longer bedbound. They weren't stuck in their wheelchairs. Some of them got to cut out some of the oxygen that they were using because they retrained
Wow.
themselves how to breathe through their nose. Isn't that
Wow. And you know what? You think about too that a lot of these things were probably brought on by incorrect
mhm.
breathing. You know what I mean? Like maybe you can avoid even getting
Yes,
emphysema or some of these other things by learning how to intentionally breathe on a
absolutely.
regular basis. And we're not talking about doing it once or twice. We're talking about doing it regularly. And I mean, obviously, we don't know that for sure, like
We're
we're
not
not doctors,
doctors.
but it
I'm
doesn't
relying
hurt.
on this dude who interviewed I don't even know how many doctors. Like
Yeah.
he intentionally, the way he started this, he intentionally had his nose plugged with silicone plugs for 2 weeks. They took all of his vitals, and there was 2 different men that did this, at the same time. I took all of their vital signs, all of their stuff, and ran them through so many tests. Like shoved cameras up their noses and checked their mucus levels. And I mean, like it was disgusting, some of the stuff they did. But
But you have to prove things by doing tests. Like
absolutely.
you're
And
your
then
body.
he said it was because it forced them to mouth breathe.
Oof.
Their snoring increased, their sleep quality like completely dropped out. Their ability to do athletic things like be on a treadmill, or no, they were on a bike. I think they were on a bike, stationary bike, doesn't matter. Um, they weren't able to do all of those things effectively.
Wow. Because they were probably getting winded. They weren't getting enough
Yes.
oxygen.
And I was like,
Wow.
man, it's fascinating the difference we can make in our life, and it's free. Like,
Yeah.
it's free. You can go
Yeah.
probably get this from the library. I paid $1 for it from our bin store just because I went, "Oh, that looks interesting. If I don't like it, I'll donate it to the library." Unfortunately, it's probably not gonna end up at the library because I've now written in it and I will probably reference it again. but
I was gonna say it's all marked
all
up and
marked up and
tabbed,
tabbed.
and you're gonna reference it all
Yes,
the
and he
time.
referenced some, like, research papers, old research papers that I wanna see if I can find.
Wow.
Okay, tell me more, tell
Okay.
me more.
So something else, I'm gonna completely shift gears a little bit, but I'm gonna be talking about something that's quite important. And so for those of you who are watching, Christine and I are also both taking part in a mastermind that is about, it's called Rich Girl Money Habits Amplified. And so it talks about all different kinds of things to live a rich, more like fulfilling
Mhm,
life and a wealthier life, of course. But anyway, along those lines, so one of the instructors in that mastermind, Karen, she has a podcast called Rich Girl Podcast, and in one of her episodes that I was recently listening to, this was really powerful, and especially if you are a woman, I think that you really need to listen to this and let it soak in. Setting boundaries help you to reduce chaos.
mhm,
It reduces people pleasing, and it even helps your nervous system feel safe to expand, which allows you to be open to new opportunities and experiences. Isn't that pretty incredible? Because like a lot of the times I think that so many of us are, we want there to be peace. We
mhm,
want to make people happy. We don't want to let people down. So we kind of let our boundaries down. We allow things into our lives that we shouldn't. We allow people to dictate what we do
mhm,
or use up way too much of our time. And in that case, we, every time we do that, we're breaking down those boundaries one after another. And then it kind of reduces that what's the right word? I can't think of the right word, but people are going to start taking advantage more. The more you say
yes,
yes, or the more you let people take up your time, or the more you keep putting yourself out there and spreading yourself so thin for everybody else, your boundaries are breaking down and people are going to start taking advantage of that. So you need to start building those boundaries up. It doesn't mean you need to be mean to anyone. It is self-respect. It is self-love by setting boundaries, and it doesn't have to be done in an awful, terrible way. If something doesn't align with you or your schedule or whatever, it doesn't even matter what it is, but if something doesn't align with that, that's in your life, you're okay to say no or to let things go. You can stop doing the things that are a waste of your time. You might be having to set boundaries for yourself. So it's not just setting boundaries against other people,
mhm,
because it could be yourself. Maybe you are wasting your time doing something. I know, Christine, you recently told me that you deleted a game on your
yep,
phone because it was a time suck and you were taking away time that you could be doing things that are more beneficial for you in your
mhm,
life. So you needed to make that decision and set that boundary yourself. Whereas I've recently had to set a boundary. There was somebody that was taking up way too much of my time, wasn't respecting my time, didn't want to pay me for my time. And I had to cut that off. I had to set that boundary because that's not fair for me.
mhm,
And really it's not fair for that other person either, because they're going to now think that they can do this to anybody or over and over again to me, and that's not how real life is. Everybody's time is precious and
mhm,
valuable, and we need to value each other's time and talents as much as we do our own.
absolutely,
And so keep this in mind that the more you set boundaries for yourself, it allows you to have better self-love and self-worth. It allows your nervous system to
mhm,
settle down, because think about the things. If you're doing something that you know you don't really wanna do, aren't you kind of like your stomach's in a knot, or you don't feel good about it? And it's really putting your body into this awful state where it's, you really shouldn't be there. And so by setting your boundaries, you're allowing your body to just
mhm,
relax a little bit. It feels so good. The more you can stand up for yourself and your own time, you all of a sudden just start feeling so good. It's like you can take that deep breath finally, going back to the breath, and you
absolutely,
feel like, "Oh, okay, I've been," it's almost like when you're doing things that you know are not aligned with you, or you know that you just really don't want to do, it almost causes like all your muscles to be tight. It's almost like you're holding your breath and you don't even realize it. And then as soon as you're able to set that boundary and release that thing or stop doing that thing, all of a sudden you just feel like a weight has been lifted and you can just finally relax. It's like the same, it's similar thing when I help people to release their stuck points. They don't realize what has been holding them back. They don't realize those stuck points are causing chaos physically, mentally, like all these things. And then as soon as it's released, whew,
Yes, it's kind of like setting down a rock that you didn't realize you were carrying around. It's like,
uh-huh.
well, and okay, so setting boundaries, like Carrie Marie said, if you say no to something, you don't, another way to look at it is somebody else gets to do that. And it's possible that that other person wants it so bad. But if
Yeah.
you said yes, you just took it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And you can say no. You can say, I'm so sorry, but I just don't have the capacity for that right now.
yes.
Or I'm sorry, but that it's not aligning with my goals right now. And you can say right now too, because maybe it is that at this point in your life, it's not something that you can do, but it might be something that a future version of you would want to do and would love to do. But you right now, and it could be something, it doesn't mean that it's an awful thing.
No.
It could be that somebody wants you
Go
to
go
lead a
to a
Bible
kid's
study.
birthday party. That's
Yes.
what comes to
Yes.
mind. "Hey, I'm having my kid's birthday party." You can say, "Oh my gosh, I would love to come, and I get to pass today at this time because," and you don't even have to tell them why. "I get to pass."
Yeah, you don't even have to tell them why, but if you feel the need to tell them why, you could just say, "Because I have other things that are priority that day that I'm not able to pass up
I'm
on,"
gonna
like,
go sit
whatever
in
it
my
is.
hot tub for 2 hours during that time with my husband, and I don't wanna.
Yeah,
You don't
and
have to
if
say
that's
that.
yeah, if that's your priority, if just going for a walk by yourself or doing some deep breathing exercises is your priority, they don't need to know what the actual priority is. You could just say you have other priorities, it's fine.
Yes, and for me, I deleted the app, and I think I deleted the app right after the training that Karen did. I had
Wow.
been thinking about it for a while. When I deleted that, I set the intention immediately how I was going to fill that time.
Oh, that's great.
So,
That's
I
awesome.
filled that time with the intention of finishing my certification, and I finished my
That's
certification in, like, 2
look at that.
weeks just because I've been working on it for 2 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Look at that. Just by setting that
mhm,
boundary for yourself, that is oh my goodness, that's
I know.
incredible. And, I have to quote Karen. There's something that she said that's really powerful, and so I'm gonna put a quote, and I will even pop it in the comments too, because I think that it's real, or maybe I can type it on the screen. I'll try it in a second. It's so powerful. "The right things don't arrive by accident. They arrive because you're no longer available for the wrong
Mhm.
things."
Yes, I love that,
Right,
and the other
Rob?
one we talk about all the times, sometimes you have to choose between what you want now and what you want most.
Mm,
Man, we need to pair
mhm.
Karen's quote and that quote, and, that could rock everybody's world.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
we
absolutely.
are
All right, so yeah, tell me about something else. I'm gonna try to type this while you're telling me the
I was
next
gonna
thing.
say, I think we're getting ready to have to wrap this up because we could go on about what we have
Oh,
learned. I know, we get to wrap this up, so you type. Um,
okay.
and, so we are starting March next month. I know it's kind of scary. We are going to spring off. We are going to springboard spring. Okay, those words did not come out right. Anyway, next week we are going to be we're going to be talking about detoxing. Um, and
Yes.
didn't we just talk? I
Again,
was
we've
gonna
talked
say,
about
didn't we
details.
just talk about detoxing? Um, Seems like we just talked about that, but
I think you and I talked about it in preparation, I think.
yeah, I don't remember. Anyway,
I don't
okay,
know.
so as of right now, we have detox scheduled for next week. And one of the things that our Bravenly products, which you hear us talk about all the time, just came out with is a probiotic. Now, I had an awesome probiotic that I loved. It worked so good. And then they quit making it. And I have been on the hunt for a couple of years now and tried different ones and never had the same results. So, this morning I put my order in. Yay! So excited. So I'm super excited to get that in and
Oh my
share.
goodness. So you're going to get it before me, which is so
Well, mine
exciting.
doesn't actually ship till March 1st because it's on my renewal order. So it won't ship
Okay,
till the 1st. I won't have it in time for our next one. And next month we are going to have a guest speaker towards the end of the month. I'm super excited.
Yes.
Susan is going to join us.
Susan, what's Susan's last name?
Jibo.
Susan Jibo. Okay.
Susan Jibo is going to join us, and she is talking about memory, and I can't even speak into it very much. That is literally like the only word that comes to mind. And she is speaking from a place of knowledge and experience. So I am super excited to learn more about what she's doing. Susan and I actually met at one of my women's wellness events, and we have stayed friends now for, I think it's been about a year.
That's so awesome.
Yes, she is very like-minded to us. And I'm super excited for that. So is there anything else new, exciting that you want to add into that?
Well, I was able to type it up and put it on the screen, that sentence, because I want people to keep that in mind. I don't know whether or not it shows up in any comments.
Okay, on my side, it shows that it has Facebook checked and both YouTube. So I think it may go to yours. I don't know. Anyway, anybody who's out there that wants it, if you don't see it in the comments, you can reach out and we will give it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too is I'm going to just show this other thing because I really wanted to just show this. It ties into that. And it's something that I think Jenny Potter said in
Yes,
Rich Girl Habits, Rich Girl Habits Amplified course that we're taking. You can't attract a new life while still operating in old ways.
absolutely.
And that's really the same type of thing of like, if you're not setting your boundaries, if you keep doing the same old things in the same old way, you're not going to be able to grow and have a better new life. So anyway, I just wanted to share that as well. I have no idea if this is going to show up for you.
Stacy said it is. Actually, Stacy commented it's in the comics. Thank you, Stacy, for letting us know.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Stacy. All right, wonderful. Well, we have gone way over time, but we had a lot that we learned this month that we wanted to share with you.
I don't even think we touched on 1% of what we learned. So,
oh yeah, I had a whole other page of stuff. So
and I skimmed through the book and I liked so much. So here's what the takeaway is. Stick with us.
Yeah.
We're constantly learning. If there is something that you feel challenged with or stuck on, please don't hesitate to tell us. Neither one of us has the time to stalk you. And we also want to serve you.
Yes. And we want to make sure that these topics that we talk about are powerful and helpful for you.
Absolutely.
And so, if there is anything that you want us to discuss, please do let us know. We're happy to do that. And you're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome.
We love showing up and doing the Wellness Wake Up Weekly every week because it fills our cup to be able to bring something to you. And we hope that you are doing things that fill your cup on a regular basis. Set those boundaries, do your intentional breathing, be intentional about your time, and like shift your focus to things that you want. If the more you shift your focus to doing things that you want to do, that make you happy, that bring you joy, that make you feel good, the more you're just going to be living a more powerful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
So anyway, with that,
all of you have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will see you again next week.
See you next week, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on Wednesday morning, every Wednesday. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for past episodes.
Yes. Have a good day, everybody.
Yes. Have a good day.